Hey, welcome back to Commander Paradise. I'm Tyler,
I'm Ryan.
and we're in Paradise talking about Magic the Gathering cards and how they pertain to the format Commander. And today we're talking about the color black in Commander.
The best color,
Probably.
i.e.
It's up there. It's really good.
I would say it.
Yeah, it's probably the best color. It's the best color in like all formats right now too. Like it's
That's what I would say. Like, you listen to any other podcast talking about, like, what's the goldfish one that's not Commander? Just MTG Goldfish.
yeah.
And they're always like, everyone's just running black shell and X color.
Yeah. Like Rakdos is the best color pair in Pioneer. Debatably. I mean, it's definitely up there. It's very powerful.
Yar.
In Modern, the best deck right now is Rakdos Scam. That deck is crazy. It needs a ban. It's like really bad, and they aren't doing anything about it. In CDH, all the best
We had
decks are
that
black.
really, yeah, we had that really big rule shakeup last month, so we'll see how it shakes out after that.
Well, there were no changes.
That was a joke.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
there's no changes.
My bad.
Yeah, no, all the best CEDH stuff is definitely running black, and I think we'll probably really dig into why that is, because that's part of what makes it so good anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then even in standard and other stuff, it's just a black shell. It's like if you run Shieldred, you know what I mean? You run. I'm trying to think what else has been put into it, but I know
Rafine.
Shieldred was the last. Yeah,
But Go for the Throat is in standard, and that card runs stuff. Infernal
Yeah.
Grasp. I don't think that sees standard play, but
it sees. I think it sees maybe a little bit because it's kind of the same thing, but one is destroy non-artifact and one is destroy creature, and you lose 2 life.
yes.
Nice, sick, big brain. That shit's huge.
Dude.
Uh,
Also, where a Graveyard Trespasser is a black card, and I hate that card. That card's in standard, and
that card does, yeah.
that card gives me anxiety. That is played, and I want to just end it all. I was like, I don't want to play this game anymore.
Yeah, that card is really, really rough.
A 3/3 that
I think it-
ETBs and does a 2-point life swing because you exile a creature card and then opponent loses a life, you gain a life, and then it's got ward, discard a card, and then it flips into a 4/4, and it has day and
Yeah.
night on it, which is the worst goddamn thing in the world. It's like so annoying. Everything about that card drives me insane.
Ward discard a card is like kind of the worst ward.
Yeah, I don't even think Rakdos Pioneer plays it anymore. But when I first started Pioneer, it was in the deck, and I hated it. It was like because I was a mono red player, and the good way to shut down a mono red player is play that damn thing. It's like, oh, you want to lightning strike this? You got a 2-for-1 yourself, and then they just play another one. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I'll just cast the other one that's in my hand, and then we'll keep going.
I want to die.
But so I personally think undebatably black is the best color
It's very good.
ever.
It's cool. So flavor wise, black is all about like Mark Rosewater has articles from 2015 about all the colors, and you should definitely read them. They're really interesting. But he said black strives for power at all costs. Like no matter what, black is trying to accumulate power for itself. At all costs. So sacrificing yourself and sacrificing those around you. So that's why they pay their life and they sacrifice their creatures, or they sacrifice their enchantments. Like they sacrifice the things they own and the things they love in order to become more powerful. So it's just like selfishness and greed, literally the card greed, and everything that comes with that, like sadness and depression and like anger and loss. all that stuff is mixed up in the color of black.
And unfathomable power.
Yes, it's cool. It's like, it's the emo color. It's the goth color. It's like the evil color. Like it's not always the black characters are evil. But a lot of the time.
Yeah. Or a lot of the times, if they're not directly evil, they are like somewhat apathetic to whatever the situation is. They're like, just like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Let's keep vibing. Yeah. And there's a lot of like transference because there's a lot of cards that are like, you gain whatever everybody else loses. So like a transfer. I don't know what I was trying to say between that.
Well, yeah,
Skip it, cut
well, like
it.
how when like a blood artist kind of thing.
That, Gary, there's
Yeah.
a lot of enchantments that are like pulling from your
Vampire.
opponents and anytime you do something. Yeah, like Sanguine Bond and stuff. So it's also like that feeding off the people around you, kind of like a worm tongue thing in Lord of the Rings,
Ooh, yeah.
where you're like maybe not directly sacrificing or like giving stuff away, but you are like pulling the energy from a room. It's like the energy vampire.
Yeah.
What were you going to say?
Oh, I was gonna say, what kind of stuff is black good at in Commander, like mechanically wise?
Oh, mechanically?
Yeah.
What does it do?
Mm-hmm.
I would say probably one of the biggest things is removal.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to blast stuff.
Yeah.
Black is the color of death, so you use your spells to make death. Which I think like one of the most fun ones, and it's also just like a really, 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 really good card is there's Infernal Grasp up on our screen now. If you're not watching the video, you can, and you can see the cards that we're talking about. But I'm also thinking of stuff like Fatal Push, which is just like 1 mana, sometimes destroy almost anything on the board that you need to. And it flavor wise too is just like a oopsie, like I pushed you over the edge. Oop, that didn't oopsie. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of ways to remove creatures. Like you also had Infernal Grasp up there, which is 1 extra mana, but it's just destroy something and then you pay 2 life, which is even more classic black because you're paying like a little bit of your life force to get rid of something else. But
Yeah.
2 life for anything is really good.
Yeah. And we got Deadly Rollick, which is like one of the best cards in the format, because it's free if you control your commander. And if you built your deck right, you will have your commander. And it's exile target creature. So they're just pretty good at just kind of like white. I don't think it's as good as white, because white has like the 1 mana stuff. But still like 2 mana or free with Deadly Rollick. Destroy target creature is pretty good. Better than
I'm gonna try and find.
probably like white and then blue and black, kind of probably around the same area.
There is one spell. It's not instant, but if at 1 mana you wanted to pay it, or you can pay 3 and 2 black for it, but it's called Eaten Alive. And if you sacrifice a creature and pay 1 that costs that, you can exile a creature or a planeswalker.
Oh.
Which is like a really solid common from Midnight Hunt, yeah.
No.
It's just the fact that it's at sorcery speed. It's like a little too slow for like any format, maybe other than Commander.
Oh, what's that one
But
from...
again, another good... Oh, just a good example of like you get a benefit if you sacrifice something of yours. Oh, yeah, this card's really good too.
Yeah, this card needs to see play. I don't know. I don't have a deck for it, but if you're in a graveyard deck, this thing is literally like Swords and Plowshares. It's a 5 mana Overwhelming Remorse, 5 mana instant, so it's a lot, but it costs 1 less to cast for each creature card in your graveyard. So as long as you're like sacrificing stuff and self-milling, so you're doing a black deck stuff, you're gonna be able to cast this for 1 mana or 2 mana, and 1 or 2 mana for this is awesome.
Yeah, 1 or 2 mana for this is really sick. The one thing you do have to remember when you're deck building is that you're putting in enough creatures and not just like creatures that make tokens. Because sometimes you might be milling yourself and you're like, oh wait, I don't have a ton of creatures in here. I only have a bunch of or a few creatures that make a lot of tokens. and then it doesn't necessarily turn on the right way,
Mm-hmm.
but for most decks it's sick.
But you only need
and
to have
everyone should
like,
be playing it, I'm sure.
It's 4 and a black, so you need to have like 3 gets it down to 1 and a black. So if you have 3 in your graveyard, I think this is a sweet card.
Yeah, easy peasy.
Yeah.
So play this and also try Eaten Alive, because those are fun cards. But Black Doobie, Slain, creature, Planeswalker removal, like easy peasy.
Yeah.
But there's a couple of things that they don't hit as well. It's like mostly artifacts and enchantments. Actually, exclusively, definitely artifacts, because I've gotten my bummed by the Strixhaven Stadium because I'm an idiot and I can't read a card, but also I had no chance of getting rid of it anyway. But Feed the Swarm, I think, is probably the only card that lets you remove an enchantment outside of unless you wanted to make the argument that, like, you could edict stuff away.
There's like
but
Invoke
this is the
Despair.
only one where you can target it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But Feed the Swarm is 1 and a black for sorcery. Destroy target creature or enchantment an opponent controls, you lose life equal to that permanent's mana value, which is really, really solid, because you just even pay like 4, 5, or 6 life to get rid of something big with this. That's totally fine.
Yeah. I think this card is like not as good as for how much is played and how much I play it. Like, this card is not that good. Like, it's just the fact that it's like some decks only option. Like, if you're in Grixis colors, this and Chaos Warp are like your only options to deal with enchantments. But that lose life equal to its mana value hurts, because enchantments like cost like 4 or 5 mana. A lot of like the ones you want to get rid of, like a Smothering Tithe or like a Miari's Wake, or like just something like a big problematic thing is not cheap. So it's a 2 mana sorcery speed and like 5 or 6 life. Like that's a big cost for this card.
Yeah,
But
sorcery speed is kind of stinky.
But black doesn't really have any other options. So
That's
play it.
that's the thing. It's like, run this or you can run like Meteor Golem.
yeah.
Do you want to hop into some of the board wipes?
Yeah, so black is pretty good at board wipes. It's second to white, I think. Because it's got some decent options. You got like one of the best cards in the whole format, Toxic Deluge. It's just so flexible and it's cheap. It's 3 mana. For sorcery, as an additional cast to cost a spell, you pay X life. All creatures get -X until end of turn. It's just the most efficient board wipe in the whole format. It's very, very flexible, so you can like sculpt it really well. Like it's CDH playable. Like, it's kind of a staple in CDH right now because there's so many like creature decks running around. And like in my Sauron deck, because he has 6 toughness, I just do X equals 5, and so everyone else dies except for Sauron. But any you can do that in any deck. You know, like someone's gone wide with a bunch of 1/1 tokens. You just X equals 1, and all their tokens are dead, and that's fine. And then you keep your stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 100%. It's super flexible, and at the 3 mana and pay any life again, it's like very easy to just pay 4 or 5 and like keep your big thing.
Yeah.
Or even like Yawgmoth, just pay 3. And most of the time, by the time Yawgmoth's out and the board needs wiped, that's enough anyway, you know?
Yeah. And this card is getting cheap for how good it is. Like, it was a $20 card for a long time, and they've reprinted it like so many times in the last couple years. So it's $8 right now.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah, the Commander's Master version is $8.
Yeah, definitely pick one up. Super versatile. It's also one of the cards that, like, I don't find myself wanting a lot of cards in my deck, but when I'm playing a deck and I'm like, oh, I'm going to toot up this Toxic Deluge because we need it right now or something, and then I don't have it in that deck, I'm like, ooh, that hurts. And there's not a lot of cards where I'm like, ooh, I really wish I had this card, and then if I don't have it, it like kind of hurts because I don't have an option that's as good as it.
Yeah. And the
Yeah, because also the -X gets around shield counters, indestructible counters, and indestructible. So that's like super sick as well.
Yeah, and there's a lot of that running around. So black gets some exile stuff, but not a lot. A lot of it's like destroy target creature. So it's a good way to just get around your gods that are indestructible and things like that. Or big souped up Voltron thing.
Big souped up thing. But for 1 mana more, you can cast Damnation.
Yeah, we got Damnation. Destroy all creatures that can't be regenerated. This is a color flipped Wrath of God, which is it's just great. It's one of the dopest arts of all time. IMO. And yeah, it's crazy. BC from the Nitpicking Nerds has said this a couple times, but it's like Wrath of God isn't even like a top 10 like whiteboard wipe, and then Damnation is like debatably the best black board wipe. Or it's number 2 probably. Just because of how
it's just the cost, yeah.
Yeah. It's efficient. It's just really good.
That's a clean Magic card right there, people. Okay? I'm going to go look at it. It's clean. Look how clean that card is. 2 lines of text. That's all you need.
And
Sorry,
it
just looks so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks good.
The black void.
Yeah. And every once in a while that they can't be regenerated will catch something, and it's gonna feel so fucking good. You're like, I cast Damnation, and someone's like, well, I'm gonna regenerate
Golgari Charm.
And you're like, yeah. Or you're playing a bug deck and you got Swarm Yard. Can't do it.
No.
No. But I guess what's our next move? Because that's pretty much it. All the other worth talking about board wipes are like 6 to 8 mana. So
you got like in Garruk's Wake, but I just feel like you don't need this card. Like it's just so much mana. Like it's one-sided, but it's 9 mana. So that's your whole turn. Your whole turn you're gonna board wipe and keep all your stuff, and then the next player probably has a board wipe, and then they just board wipe all your stuff away. Like it's just you do 9 mana and don't do enough. But I mean, it technically
but Decree
exists.
Of Pain is pretty good.
Yeah.
That's the one I was thinking of earlier. I was like, there's one that I was looking at that was actually like,
what is it? Degree of
high
Pain?
mana, but like, yeah, the Pain's got a master. Decree of Pain. Yeah. So destroy all creatures that can't be regenerated, woot woot, and then draw a card for each creature destroyed this way, which is kind of fucking crazy.
Yeah.
And then you can also cycle it for 5 mana, and everything gets -2/-2, which is also
flexible.
like not too bad, and you could hold that mana up. Yeah.
Yeah, instant speed,
So,
-2/-2
pretty
is
solid.
pretty cool. Yeah, that's it. That's a cool card. A little expensive, but I like it. If you're on a budget, that's a pretty sweet, because Damnation is still like $16. Toxic Deluge is $8. So pretty good options.
Yeah. Well, and also just being able to draw all those cards is really solid. I'd rather wipe the whole board and not just my board or not just everyone else's board and draw a bunch of cards and then just grind the resource battle, because then at that point,
that would draw a ton of cards.
you hope everyone else overcommits. I know. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You can draw a lot of cards with this. Even from your own deck if you made a bunch of tokens and stuff. So
Yeah. And then you also ping everyone with your Zilbor Cutthroat. So you're killing people, you're drawing cards, and yeah. This card seems pretty good.
Yeah.
It's just so much mana. I don't know what deck would play it. Belladros is probably a Belladros card, because you just dump all your mana and then you kill everything, and then you just you're on
untap.
On the stack you pay 10 life.
Yeah.
That seems really good.
And I mean, it's just up there. It's like if you're playing like the Necrotic Haze or whatever that one is that makes you a bunch of tapped zombie tokens and stuff for everything that died. Like, all of those are kind of up there around the same amount of mana. And me personally, if the board is getting wiped, the thing I always need is more cards in my hand, not a bunch of tapped bodies that need bussing, you know? So, but I was gonna say, you were talking about Blood Artist and Zulaport and stuff. Do you want to kind of hop into that section next?
Sure. Yeah, they're really good at like the life drain thing. So like whenever a creature dies, something happens. And so like Zulaport Cutthroat is kind of the big one. Zulaport Cutthroat, 2 mana for a 1/1 human rogue ally. Whenever it or another creature you control dies, each opponent loses a life and you gain a life. And then you have this and a zombie and a sack outlet and a Gravecrawler, and then you just win, you know? And then there's other ones. There's Blood Artist.
There's Bastion of Remembrance, which also gives you a body when it comes in.
And it's with Blood Artist is debatably better because it's when any creature dies, but it's only target player instead of each player. So they're about the same. They're both really good. And then, yeah, Bastion of Remembrance is a 3-mana enchantment version. That's really good.
There is one of the like craziest commanders that does it too. Falconwrath Noble.
Yeah, it's a 4-mana version.
Oh yeah, that's another solid one.
Yeah, it's just a
That's another target player one.
A flying Blood Artist.
These are all really solid for repetition, but in Commander, I always try and go for like the Zulaport first or the Bastion first because it's all players. So it's like it's easier. You only have to drain 40 life instead of like 120 life.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then if you have these out in combination with that, then you're just kind of shredding.
Gravy, yeah.
Your master shredder.
What were you saying?
There was something. Oh, I was gonna say Conrad.
Oh,
Sir
yeah.
Conrad.
Yeah. Conrad's kind of like
It's like the golden child of this style.
yeah, it's insane.
Conrad is like the golden child of the style of aristocrats. Okay, guys, I don't think you guys understand the renaissance that happened in the first Eldraine set when this card came out. Okay.
Yeah, Conrad's nuts.
No, I still to this day, it's like a crazy card, though. You know what I mean? Like, it's still just as good as when it came out, which is like actually kind of cool.
And it's 5 mana for a 5/4 legendary creature, human knight for an uncommon. This wasn't uncommon when it came out, which is just so crazy. Whenever another creature dies, or a creature card is put into a graveyard from anywhere other than the battlefield, or a creature card leaves your graveyard, Sir Conrad the Grim deals 1 damage to each opponent. And it's damage. It's not lose a life. It's 1 damage to each opponent. And that matters for stuff. It's like it's worse because if you have like 1 ring, you have protection, you can't be damaged by it. But if you can give it infect, you can just infect the table out. And then
you can just play Phyresis or
Tainted Strike.
If you can do it in a turn, you can just if you can do it all in 1 turn, you can just Tainted Strike.
Yeah.
Also, just having the mana outlet, like if you just make infinite mana, you can just mill everything too.
Yeah, he's got colorless and a black mill card. So, insane card.
It's sick. And I think it's cool too, because this is one of the few ones, if maybe the only one that does it when something leaves your graveyard too, which makes it like the perfect reanimator deck.
Yeah.
Like Captain.
Yeah, it's when you're reanimating and when you're sacrificing, it kills your opponents, which is nuts.
Yeah, it's sick.
And then there's also like the like what you were talking about earlier, like kind of the vampiric kind of stuff. So like whenever you gain life, target opponent loses that much life, like Veto or Sanguine Bond, and then Exquisite Blood. Whenever an opponent loses life, you gain that much life, and that's a combo in and of itself. So Black's good at that. There's also these effects. There's a couple of these. Wound Reflection. At the beginning of each instep, each opponent loses life equal to the life they lost this turn. 6 mana for an enchantment. It's kind of expensive, but it's pretty good. And if you're in a big like battle
It's
cruiser,
pretty crazy.
yeah, in a big battle cruiser meta, this is still a sweet card. And they just put it on a creature. I'm pretty sure. I think there's a giant like vampire bat thing that like does it now.
Nice.
From Ixalan.
They also just played this on the Doctor Who game nights because it was reprinted in those decks.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's kind of cool to see it get played because it really everyone at the table's like, whoa,
Yeah.
let's not don't get too
No one
hasty.
move- no one
it
do
feels very
anything.
much like the Spider-Man meme of like, yeah, just everyone's pointing the guns at each other.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, black is good at this kind of stuff. So black is good at killing your opponents, which is the whole point of the game. So black is good at removing creatures. It's good at ending the game, and it's good at utilizing creatures just in any way you can. It can reanimate, and it can sacrifice them for value. Like you got even just like very simple stuff, something like Village Rites kind of effect or Deadly Dispute, where it's like 1 black as an additional cost to cast a spell, sacrifice a creature, draw 2 cards. So you're sacking your creatures for value to draw cards, to reanimate things, and then while you're doing that, you trigger your Zulaport Cutthroat and you're killing your opponents. So you're just using your creatures in efficient ways that also put you ahead and kill your opponents all at the same time. Which is nuts. That's just so effective. And it's fun.
Yeah. That's why playing a sack deck is so... Yeah, it's fun.
You just take a bunch of game
You
action.
sack something little, you deal damage. Yeah, you just shoot
Draw cards.
stuff, you sack something, you shoot stuff, you draw cards, and then you just keep doing it.
Just keep going.
And then there's also cards that make dudes when dudes die, and dudes when dudes die make more dudes. And then those dudes die, and they shoot, and then you draw more cards, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh wow, I've drawn like 20 cards and everyone's at half life. I think I need to pass while I have blockers.
You also got like...
It's, yeah, I would say Game Action City.
Yeah.
Oh, one of my favorite cards.
Just reanimate, just 1 black for a sorcery, put target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. You lose life equal to its mana value. So efficient. Just one of the best cards in the entire format. Just nothing beats this rate. It's a graveyard, so you can get whatever is in a graveyard anywhere on the field. Just crazy, crazy card. And so there's like this busted stuff all the way up to like 4 mana, just like Zombify. Like return target creature from your graveyard to the battlefield for 4 mana. So in any kind of budget, any kind of power level, black can bring stuff back from the graveyard, which is really, really powerful. You can reuse your stuff. You can, if someone kills something, you can bring it back. If someone kills your Archfiend Ifnir, you can just be like, nope, sorry, it's back. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's one of black's like especially for like casual commander, one of its biggest upsides is being able to easily reanimate and get things back into your hand, because like every other color, when you see something go into your graveyard, you're playing red, you see one of your best goblins die, go to the yard, you're like, well, crap, I don't have a way to get that back. That's it. You know what I mean? Like, we got to move forward. And that's like Red's whole thing, is just like keep moving forward. We'll find another game plan. But sometimes you're playing blue and you lose something and you're just like, shit. I'm going to just sit here and flounder for a couple turns till I figure out what's going on. And with a black deck, you're just like, that's fine. I was going to kill it anyway.
Yeah. I'll just bring it back.
You're like, I don't give a fuck. I'm just going to put it back. Watch me. I'll sack it again for fun.
And they got like big mass reanimation spells like Living Death, a 5 mana sorcery. Each player exiles all creature cards from their graveyard, then sacrifices all creatures they control, and then puts all cards they exiled this way onto the battlefield. So if you can make this like one-sided by like exiling other people's graveyards, or just like sacking all your stuff first, like you sacrifice your board, and then you Living Death, so everyone gets rid of all their stuff, and then your whole board is still around. Or just filling your graveyard with a bunch of stuff, so it doesn't matter, it's just overwhelming. And there's also like Rise of the Dark Realms, which is like a 9 mana sorcery that is return all creatures from all graveyards onto your control, which is a cool card. And very a black thing. Like they no other color gets to do this. Like white can reanimate its own stuff inefficiently. Or like mana value 3 or less. It can do mana value 3 or less like all day. Or it can do like 4 mana, return a creature from your graveyard to play. Or it can return all artifacts and enchantments. With some like big mana value spells. But just efficiently, black can do reanimate all creatures anywhere, however you want, in a bunch of different ways. There's creatures that do it, there's enchantments that do it. You can do it once per turn, you can do it instant speed, like you're doing it. It just depends on how you want to do it, and your budget and your power level, synergistically. But you can do it.
Yar.
What about ramp? Is black good at ramp at all, Ryan?
I was gonna say I think black might be second or third best at ramp.
What's it got, Ryan?
I would say maybe second in fast ramp and third in long-term ramp, because there's like a lot of big spells that you can do. You can do stuff like Dark Ritual, which is 1 mana, make 3 mana, and there's a couple other cards that like will goof and do that same thing, but you have to like sack a creature or do some other stuff. So already playing into the other stuff we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
So you have like a small bursts of big mana, or you have your Cabal Coffers and like your Crypt Gas, you know, that kind of stuff. So Cabal Coffers is pay 2 and tap, add black for each swamp that you control. And then you're either playing all swamps or you're playing Yaga, Urborg.
Urborg, yeah.
That's what
Urborg,
it is,
2
Urborg.
Yawgmoth.
My brain kept saying Urborg Coast for some reason because it's Yavimaya Coast, I think. Yavimaya Cradle. I don't remember.
Yeah, Yavimaya Cradle of Grove. And then Yavimaya Coast, I think, is the Simic Painland.
It is. That's what it is. No, it's absolutely that. But then you're playing Urborg, so then everything is a swamp no matter what, and you're making a bunch of mana. And then you've also like Crypt Gas. So whenever you tap a swamp for mana, add a black mana to your pool. So each swamp is tapping for 2. And then you're also making big mana. But the thing is, for this to really be like super efficient, you got to get to like turn 6 or 7. Because it's kind of like a Nyx Bloom Ancient thing. It's like if you get to the end, you can make a ton. But chances are you're going to have like 1 burst at the beginning if you have a Dark Ritual or something. And then you're going to have to just keep playing your lands and mana rocks for a little bit until you hit enough mana to play this. And then also like turn Cabal Coffers on. Because Cabal Coffers isn't really worth it to play with like 3 swamps on the field.
Yeah. You need like 4...
Because you're making this the same.
Swamps to like make it worth it. Because then you're up to like 6 mana. So you're up 1. Because you have 5 lands in play. You got 4 swamps and Cabal Coffers. But then if you have Urborg out, that helps. Because then Cabal Coffers is also a swamp. And Urborg is a swamp. So that helps. I run those together in a deck, and I just never see them. And I always just get Cabal. If I have a tutor, I always just get Cabal Coffers first, and at least in my mono black deck, because just I'd rather have that, and then just because eventually I'll have enough swamps and it's fine. But like I've never had both out at the same time, and like if I'm using 2 tutors to get that out, like that's so much. So I don't know. Like
it might feel like a lot, but the beauty of black is you can play Explorer's Map multiple times in a turn. That's pretty much like the only time I get them both out is in Muldrotha, and that's just because I'll rip Explorer's Map twice in a turn, and then it's easy.
Yeah.
Like
that's fair.
So if you have a way of doing
that, or if
that,
you're in green,
but if you're using like
you could tutor for lands.
But if you're using like a Grim Tutor and then your Vampiric Tutor to get 2 lands, that feels awful.
Yep, I definitely run Expedition Map in my mono black deck so I can get Cabal Coffers always. But then I just hope I get Urborg. Like, it's not worth
Yeah.
2 cards to get that to me.
Which is fair. Yeah. Especially if in mono black.
Yeah. But still run both, because if you can
Yeah.
just happen to find them, if you're just drawing a bunch of cards and you just find both of them, it's sweet. So I think
But
you nailed all that. Yeah, Cryptghast also has Extort, which is pretty badass.
Yeah, Extort is pretty sick. What's the card that gives everything else Extort too?
I don't know.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Shit. I'm gonna look it up. Real
Creatures
fast
you
if
control
wanna...
have Extort.
Yar. Pontiff of Blight,
Yeah, Pontiff of Blight, yeah.
which is 6 mana. That's crazy.
Yeah. For a 2/7. It's kind of not a good
But-
card. But it's cool.
It's not a good card unless you have a bunch of mana. Because
Yeah,
then if
unless-
you can
yeah.
extort everything,
Yeah.
it goes really crazy.
And if you need it like a bunch of like life gain triggers. It's a good way to like
or your
Yeah.
Bolus's Citadel and stuff.
Mhm.
Cast it, extort it, and then keep it going. Ooh, but I think the next part is like probably what makes black actually the one of the best colors.
What is that, Ryan? Tell me more.
It's card draw. Oh my gosh. Are you telling me just basic cards that make your deck run are the best?
Yeah.
But black has like easily some of the best rates for just like picking cards up off your deck
Mhm.
and trucking, you know. Stuff like Read the Bones is just solid. Two in a black sorcery. Scry 2, draw 2, and lose 2 is like a classic black
Beautiful
card, and Scry
card.
2 is so
Yeah, the
good.
Scry 2 is so
Yeah.
good. I love Read the Bones. I know, like, there's better things. There's better ways to draw cards in black, but this feels so good to resolve. And yeah, it's 3 mana, but like, man, if you like just don't have a play, just rip in and Read the Bones is just gonna like save your life. It's like, okay, I'm top decking. I top deck or Read the Bones. I know I'm gonna be fine. It's like I'm gonna find something. It's like going too deep, and then I can scry those 2 shitty cards away and look at 2 more cards, and then I just lose 2 life. I don't care. I start with 40 life. That's what's crazy about black card draw is that it's almost always tied to losing a life, unless you're sacrificing something else in order to draw the cards. And so, because like in the way blue draws cards, it very rarely gets to go up cards. It's almost always even. It's like draw 3 cards, and then discard 2 cards unless you discard an artifact or something like that. So there's like some sort of catch to drawing the amount of cards, or you have to like draw a card, then discard a card, or draw 2, discard 2, something like that. So you're like staying around the same amount of cards. Black can go up cards. Like Read the Bones is 1 card to get 2 cards. So you're going up 2 cards. And to compensate with that, you lose 2 life. Which in 60 card, that's a lot. And 3 mana is a lot. But in Commander, we have 40 life. Who cares? Just full send it, bro. Just fucking rip it. I don't care. I'll just do it again.
Yeah. Yeah. You only have to be worried once you hit like 18.
And even then, just rip it.
And that's only if someone... Yeah. Even then, that's it only if someone bloodthirsty's in the pod. If everyone in the pod is nice, they'll probably leave you alone for a little bit.
Yeah. Like, there's an extra turns from like a month or so ago. Jimmy was playing a mono black deck, and he goes down to like 8 life, and then he casts like 1 thing and goes back to 40 life. And it's like, he's just like ripping a Necropotence and a Bolus's Citadel. Like, he's being belligerent with his life total. It was so sick.
Yeah, that's what you got to do, because then it either pays off big time and it's super sick, or you just go out in a blaze of glory. And I think that, yeah, that's a lot of what Black's thing is too with the card draw. Like the basic common card draw is like some amount of mana, and then you're either sacrificing something or you're losing some life, but you're always drawing like 2 cards. Unless they're with Dread Presence, then you landfall, lose a life, draw a card, which is still sick. That card is the best.
Yeah, that card's really good.
Yeah. But Necropotence too is also kind of insane. I haven't gotten to play this card yet, but I did trade Tyler for one, so maybe I'll try and play it tonight.
Oh. Yeah, I pulled 2 in Eldraine.
That's crazy.
But this is one of the most busted Magic cards of all time. It's banned in Legacy, and it's restricted in Vintage. You can only have one of these in your 60-card deck in Vintage. That's how good this card is. And we can just play it. You can just play this card in your deck, and it's like $11 now. And it's just crazy.
Well, what's it do?
Black for an enchantment, which is also really good for Devotion. Black's really good at Devotion, but we'll get that. So skip your draw step. Aw, but I like drawing cards. Whenever you discard a card, exile that card from your graveyard. Then you pay 1 life, exile the top card of your library face down, put that card into your hand at the beginning of your next end step. So you just like churn through your library and your life totals. You just like, okay, I'll pay 20 life and I'll draw 20 cards and we'll see what happens. And who cares? You'll probably gain it back.
Yeah, and then you also just craft like the perfect hand.
Yeah.
Because you have to discard your end step, right?
Yes. Well, what you do is you play Necropotence and then you pass, and then you do it on someone's end step.
Oh, I'm smelling you now.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm being a goofy goober. I've never played this game before. The other thing though is like we were talking, that discard wouldn't be bad. You know, rip 20 cards off the top, keep all your 1 and 2 mana reanimator spells, dump all the fatties.
Well, you can't because whenever you discard a card, you exile that card from your graveyard. They planned. They planned for that.
No. Shit.
Yeah. So when you're discarding them, you're never getting them again.
could-
But you just keep the good shit. You just keep what you need.
Yeah. It's sick.
It's still worth it.
I want to do this turn 1 with a Dark Ritual
Oh my god.
and just like cause problems. Yeah.
It's like a turn 1 ad nauseam right there. Oh, we should talk about
pretty much.
We should talk about ad nauseum.
Oh, sure, yeah. I got to play this in a draft the other night, and it was so bad. But I cast it every time I could because I thought it was funny.
It was good. I mean, you drew like 3 or 4 cards off of it, which was fine. Every time you cast it.
Yeah, it's fine, but it didn't do anything, so.
But this is one of the most powerful cards in the format. It's like a CDH staple. Like decks are named after this card. It's like Turbo Adnaz.
Yeah.
Like Rix's Turbo Adnaz is like half of the goddamn format. And it's just like a 5-mana instant. So you can do this shit at instant speed. You reveal the top card of your library and put that card into your hand. You lose life equal to that card's converted mana cost, and you may repeat this process any number of times. And so you just build your deck around it. You start with 40 life. You build your deck around it, so you're just like drawing like basically your whole deck. You just draw like 30 cards, and then you draw a bunch of fast mana, and then you play all the fast mana, and then you cast your tutors that you got to either tutor for the combo piece that you didn't draw because you drew the other one in the 20 cards, and then you just win. It's like you found Thassa's in the Adnaz, and now you just go get Demonic Consultation or something like that, you know?
And especially when all the CMCs are so low that you can just pretty much rip your whole deck and not have to worry about losing anything.
Yeah. This might be good in that Luris deck I'm working on.
Oh,
Because all the CMCs
yeah.
are so low, like you could just draw 1 million cards. It'd be sick.
Churn right through it.
I might do that.
You'll have to give it a go.
It's gonna be way scarier.
I dare you.
I'm ad nausing for like Zulaport Cutthroat and like reassembling Skeleton. Like, calm down. I'm not doing anything crazy. It sounds a lot scarier than it is, but
It's more just that I want to cast Adnan.
yeah, basically. Also, one of the best arts of all time. Like, look at that guy. He's like going through it. There's one more way that Black is good at drawing cards.
What is it?
Like Morbid Opportunist kind of effect. Whenever one or more other creatures die, draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn. And this card is really good because it includes any creature on the battlefield. So it's like kind of like a Fire Extinct Arena. It's like 3 mana. But you can draw up to 4 cards around if a creature dies every turn. which is pretty sweet. So it just draws a bunch of cards, and then there's ones that's like whenever a creature you control dies, draw a card, like Midnight Reaper. But there's other ones that's like whenever a creature dies, draw a card.
Yeah, there's always some variation on it. It's either when a creature dies, when a creature you control dies, or when a creature an opponent controls dies. So again, very easy to get like multiple repetitions in it.
I think we just got one for enchantments too. Yeah, Ashiok's Reaper. It's a 4-mana creature. Whenever an enchantment you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, draw a card. So we're dealing with enchantments now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Makes sense with all the roll tokens and stuff.
I think you could do a mono black enchantment deck. I don't know if it has the gas for it yet. There's like a couple commanders that care about it. But there's like non-mono black that decks. Like there's an Abzan enchantment deck that's like a graveyard enchantment deck. And
yeah,
there's Tatsunari Toad Rider. It's not really a graveyard deck, but it's a black deck.
Oh, yeah.
It's Sultai. And that deck's cool. I played it one time on a stream randomly. That's fun.
Nice.
Yeah, sorry. But that card's cool. Here, I'll pull it up. Ashiok's Reaper, 4-mana, 3/3 for a nightmare. Pretty good. Cool art.
It is pretty solid. I like the art for it.
And finally, Black is good at tutoring for things. It actually invented tutoring.
Yeah, if you like looking at your library, black is the color to do it.
All the way back in Alpha.
No, that's the one. That's the one with the removed pentagram.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's a pentagram. There's supposed to be a pentagram on his forehead. And I think it's in later ones because they added it back in.
Oh, no, this one has it.
The satanic... Does it? Oh, okay. I can't see it from here. Nice, because they took it off for a while.
Oh, yeah. This white border one.
So, but yeah, black is basically the color of... Let me look at my library real fast. You got Demonic Tutor, you got Diabolic Tutor, you got Grim Tutor, you got Vampiric Tutor.
And it all comes from Alpha, the original set. So it's like baked in to Magic from the very, very beginning. And also just the name Tutor is like comes from this card in Magic fashion, where like whichever one was the first to do it is what it's named after. And just search a library for any black, because all colors can tutor for certain things, like artifacts and enchantments in white. Gamble in red lets you tutor for any card, but it can also tutor for artifacts. Blue can tutor for artifacts. Green can tutor for lands and creatures. But black can tutor for whatever the fuck you want. Any card. Search a library for any card to put in your hand. This is like debatably the most powerful card in Commander. I think. Because it's just, it's the extra card of whatever card you need for 2 mana. Like, that's so efficient.
Yeah, I feel like the ability to get something is really powerful, but its power comes from whatever you're getting. You know what I mean? Yeah. If you play a Vampiric Tutor and you get junk, it's not like a really good card. But if you get like the winning combo piece, that's like the big card, you know. But that is the one thing, is it sets it up really well. That's that whole set where they're all 1 mana and it's Vampiric Tutor, Worldly Tutor, all those. Vampiric Tutor just goes so hard. Search your library for anything, put it on top, and then lose 2 life, and then you just set yourself up for like the perfect turn. It's great.
And that one's instant speed, which is really good. So like you just set up your next draw, which is really, really good.
Yeah.
But there's also like some lower power tutors as well, which are fun. Like you got your Diabolic Tutor, which Ryan likes. I don't like this card, but people play it.
I think this is the perfect like casual Commander tutor, because like if you're playing 4 mana do kind of whatever you want. You know what I mean? Like, to me, once you start paying 4 and 5 mana for stuff, you can kind of do whatever you want. If someone's casting like a turn 1 vampiric tutor, I'm like, oh, this is Spice City. But if someone turn 6 diabolic tutors, I'm like, that's almost probably the least of my worries.
Yeah.
If anything, we talked about it, and you're getting Toxic Deluge because we need it. You know what I mean? Like, this tutor to me is like super. This and anything like even Grim Tutor a little bit because it makes you lose 3 life. It's like 3 mana, search your library for something, lose 3, which can be like kind of significant. They're both kind of like almost at that rate you could be doing more than just tutoring. So the fact that you're just tutoring at that rate makes me a little like I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah, that's why I don't like Diabolic Tutor, because it's just I'd rather just draw cards at that point. Like if I'm spending 4 mana, I would rather just draw like 4 cards.
Yeah.
And then,
But
like I'd rather have a synergistic deck that lets me draw a bunch of cards and have redundant effects. So like no matter what I draw, I will find the effect I need to close out this game.
Yeah, I like playing like kind of glass cannon-y things sometimes where I need 2 things, and that's the 2 things I'm doing.
Sure.
So sometimes it's in that, and also they're just like nice toolboxes. Like if you got a Grim Tutor and you get a Toxic Deluge, that's 3 mana to wipe the whole, or 6 mana to wipe the whole board. Which is solid if you didn't have anything in hand and no one else has anything in hand. Yeah.
It's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Or like even like worst case scenario, you can just get that extra Cabal Coffers or a land if you need something specific,
Yeah. Yep.
But
and it's not that you're wrong, Ryan. It's just like that's just a different way of like building and playing, That's not what I like. It doesn't.
I think you're wrong. So
that's why it's fun. You can do whatever you want, and there's no wrong answers.
Yeah, no, of course. And it's all different. It's all whatever you like playing. Sometimes I like playing Grim Tutor because I like looking at the blood on the book.
Yeah. Oh, great. I think Grim Tutor is super playable. It's just kind of expensive. It's like still like $18. If they print this like one more time, they should print it in standard again. And then it'll be like $5. And then that card's sweet. And then I would play it in a bunch of decks. But just $18 for this, and it's like, I could just I read the modes at 50 cents and draw like 2 cards.
Yeah, I'll just put like 4 of those effects in and have the same exact outcome.
Yeah. But
yeah,
there's definitely a difference of what you want your deck to do. So
yeah, and how you like having fun cards. Playing games. Yeah, because if you also are doing something where you just like playing big old fatties and you got a fatty that you didn't play yet, you want to tutor it up and play it and see how, it's like there's always different reasons for playing them too. So but in terms of like competitively playing these ones, they're not very fast. They're not like very good, but they are like, oh, I need something, let's do something.
Yeah. Oh, there's also, I like this one a lot.
Which one?
Beseech the Queen.
Oh yeah.
It's like hybrid mana bullshit. Black. So it's a 3 mana tutor. Search library for a card with convert mana cost less than or equal to the number of lands you control. Reveal it, put it in your hand, and then shuffle your library. So it's 3 mana, and you can get basically whatever you want in your deck as long as you're like kind of build your deck right. As long as you're hitting land drops. And I run this in a Yara, and it's fun. I don't know, because it's 3 mana. I feel pretty good about a 3 mana tutor. And it lets me go get like basically whatever. Like it can get a board wipe, it can get whatever, and it's cheaper. Like it's $3. So.
Oh, okay, that's sick. Yeah, that's a solid price.
So if you're in a mono black deck, I think this one's pretty good.
Yeah. I think that's what had me playing Diabolic Tutor for so long too, was that it was like $1 or something.
That's still $1. Yeah, dollar card.
Yeah.
So if on a budget, it's pretty good. But yeah. So that is what black is good at, which is a ton of really, really good, powerful things.
Pretty
kinda
much
nuts.
everything.
It's like only not good at its removal can be kind of awkward. Besides like those like two or three we mentioned, all the rest of its removal is like awkward. It is not flexible. Like white can destroy like any non-land permanent. Um, White and black together, like Orzhov, can blow up whatever the fuck you want very efficiently. But mono black by itself is like only creatures, and then feed the swarm, and no artifacts, and it can hit planeswalkers, but that's like whatever. Let's go to other formats. So its removal is kind of clunky. It's like kind of awkward, or it's expensive mana, either mana wise or life wise. Like feed the swarm or snuff out. Like snuff out's like 4 mana or 4 life, but it's still worth it. But it's still kind of clunky, and like sometimes it can really matter that 4 life.
Yeah.
But still a busted card you should play. And then it's kind of one note. Like white, like black, it doesn't really do a lot of different stuff. It's like it's all kind of samey. It's all like it's a weird spooky guy that sacrifices other weird spooky guys and makes you lose life or gain life, or makes your opponent lose life or gain life, and then you draw cards, and that's kind of it.
Yeah.
They've been expanding it a little bit. They started adding some artifact stuff to black with like the Necron decks and some other stuff, which is cool. But it's just kind of like all the black decks are the same. Like any mono black aristocrat deck, you can put a different commander in there, and they're all gonna do the same thing. Like my Ayara deck, I could just run Chainer, and it would probably do the same thing. It would. I probably wouldn't notice. What do you think about? Do you agree with that, Ryan?
I think it's all really efficient. So, like, no matter what you're doing, it kind of keeps on chugging. I think sometimes it's a little different depending on what style you're going, you know, like aristocrats can be a bunch of different things. It can be like reanimating stuff over and over again, or it could be like going super wide. So sometimes I think it's maybe a little more nuanced between who you're swapping out, you know what I mean? But I do agree that all black decks kind of fall into like 3 slots, which is going to be like big mana, big problems, aristocrats, and like going wide.
Yeah.
Because if you go for any of the typal strategies, a lot of them are like make a bunch of zombies, fuck ton of vampires, lots of rats, you know, but there's not really anything where that changes a whole lot. Like obviously you can build them different if you want, but inherently those decks go wide.
Yeah.
And then what happens? No, you're now that I'm talking about it a little bit, I think because they go wide and then you sack stuff, so everything ends up being an aristocrat deck at some point.
Yeah, every deck ends up being an aristocrat deck if you're doing like, especially mono black, but like just any black adjacent deck. It's just like just because that effect is so good, it's what they all end up being.
It ends games. Yeah. It ends games so fast compared to like any other style of playing aside from like combos.
Yeah, like non-CDH, like casual. It's like just aristocrats just the best thing to be doing.
Because you hit everybody and it does everything. And then if you're going wide, you can also go wide. We have a couple of things down here that we were talking about strategy-wise, which I feel like we've kind of already moved into it a little bit. Because like it is one note, but I feel like that one note is part of like a big chord. You know what I mean? There's a lot of ways to get to that route.
Sure.
But like devotion stuff is cool.
Mm-hmm.
I like that's one of the strategies you can do, but the other side of it is like there's not always enough stuff for that to be its own thing.
Yeah.
So like you have your devotion stuff, and then you fill in the blanks with aristocrat stuff because you know you're going to be doing it anyways.
Yeah, devotion meaning like the Theros mechanic, like Gary, like Gray Merchant of Asphodel. Your devotion to black pips on your mana cost on your permanents on the field, and then when it matters. With like Abhorrent Overlord, that card rips. Look at this guy, it's so cool. 7 mana, 6/6 flyer. When it enters the battlefield, put a number of 1/1 black harpy creature tokens with flying onto the battlefield equal to your devotion to black. At the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice a creature. Super good in Ayara, because Ayara is black. Then Abhorrent Overlord is black. So that's right there, 5 harpies, and then each of your opponents lose 6 life. And then you lose, and then you gain 6 life, at least, if not more than that. So, and
which is sick. And then Gary does you lose life, or every opponent loses life equal to your devotion, and you gain life equal to
life lost,
that total amount lost,
which is stupid,
which is insane.
Yeah, they worded that poorly.
Yeah.
When Grey Merchant of Asphodel, 5 mana zombie, 2/4, enters the battlefield, each opponent loses X life, where X is your devotion to black. You gain life equal to life lost this way. So even if your devotion is 4, everyone's going to gain 4. Everyone's going to lose 4. You're going to gain 12 life. That's just such a swing, especially when you're being greedy and paying your life into different things. It just gets it right back.
And then you just loop this guy, pay a bunch of life, and keep drawing a bunch of cards, and then the game is over.
Yeah,
so.
You just loop Gary. So kind of the one note thing. I mean, Gary's just so good, and like a lot of people, like BZ from Nitpicking Nerds says he doesn't play this card anymore because it's like just he finds it boring. I still play it in my mono black deck, but it's
I do too.
It's good.
I think it's fun.
It's good.
Yeah, it's good, and it can get got multiple ways. It's not like invincible by any means.
It's like Crater Hoof.
It's cool.
It's like the black Crater Hoof, where it's like so ubiquitous and like it's a little boring, but like it does end the game for 5 mana, so just fucking play it.
Yeah, and if you're reanimating it, you just are doing it for even less and just kind of sponging it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's kind of like all roads lead to Aristocrat.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no matter what you're doing, the way that you're doing it is by, like, sacrificing stuff or bringing stuff back and sacrificing it, so.
Yeah, and then there is, like, that fringe enchantment build. I think that one day we'll have, like, a really sick one. There's, like, that weird harpy. You can exile an enchantment from your graveyard to make more harpies. It's from Eldraine. And then I think there's a couple other mono black enchantment commanders. And then like creature type wise, like you can do mono black zombies, you can do mono black vampires, you can do mono black rats. Marrow Gnawer is a pretty popular commander. What's your favorite black commander, mono black commander, Ryan?
Oh, definitely Yawgmoth. It's the only one I play.
Yeah, he's pretty cool. One of the most busted creatures ever made.
Yeah, insane.
Super pushed. Do you want to read him?
Yeah, he's a 2/2 black human cleric 2/4 with protection from humans, and then pay 1 life, sack another creature, put a -1/-1 counter on target creature, and draw a card. And then pay 2 black, discard a card, proliferate. It's its own engine, basically, and then the protection from humans always pops up at, like, the best times.
Yeah.
Someone swings at you with Kyler, and you're like, I'll just block it with Yawgmoth, and they're like, fuck! And you're like, yeah. My little 2/4 dude stops your gigantic dude. And then just, like, the perfect Aristocrat engine, because you're paying a life, you sack a creature, put a -1 counter on something, so you're, like, slowly sinking everybody's boards, and you're drawing cards. And then if you've got like a blood artist out, every time something dies, you gain a life. So you're really you're paying 0 life, putting a -1 counter on something and drawing a card. The 2 mana discard a card and proliferate is like not always the best. There's not a lot of times to use it, but if you wanted to build around it, you definitely can. But it's fucking cracked. Yeah. It's so much fun.
Crazy card. It's also good in the 99 of like any deck, basically. Any black deck can just kind of play this and it'll be good.
Yeah, just generically super powerful. But what about you? Who's your favorite?
My queen, Ayara.
It's your lady.
First of Locthwain, R.I.P. She got Phyrexianized, but she's rad. This is like the first deck I like built myself, like not like a non-precon deck, and I just pulled her in a pack back when Eldraine was out, and she's just cool. Black. Whenever she or another black creature enters the battlefield under your control, so it's not cast, it's enters the battlefield, so it counts all your tokens and stuff. Each opponent loses a life, and you gain a life. So you just play black creatures, and then make black tokens, and then all your opponents start to die, and you can tap her to sacrifice another black creature to draw a card. So it's very generic Very like this is the one note that I'm talking about. Like you're draining, you're drawing cards, you're sacrificing creatures. But I love it. It's fun. And she does have some one card combos that I don't run because I wanted the deck to be able to be played in like mid power pods. And so I just cut that card. It goes with Feast of Vermin, I think is what it's called. And even without that, she's fine. So just play a bunch of creatures and have fun. I like it a lot. But there's some other ones that are pretty popular. The most popular one is a busted card. It's Crick, Son of Yawgmoth. Our friend Brody has this deck. He's ridiculous. He's 4 Fire Exing and black mana, Fire Exing and black mana, Fire Exing and black mana. For a 2/2 with lifelink, for each black in a cost, you may pay 2 life rather than pay that mana. And then whenever you cast a black spell, put a +1/+1 counter on it. So it's just like you're using your life total to funnel it down. Super, super classic black effect. It's very good. It goes infinite with some cards like Aetherflux Reservoir, Bolas' Citadel, and something like Sensei's Top or something like that. You just cast infinite spells and you gain enough life that you just explode the table.
Nice. Yeah, it's crazy. It's so aggressively fast.
Yeah, it's nuts. Yeah, he gets it on like turn 2 and it's like, oh, well, what do we even do? And then we got Marrow-Gnawer.
And then oh yeah, that art is sick.
It's like Krinko for rats. It's a 5 mana creature. All rats have fear. Fears they can't be blocked unless they're a black creature or an artifact creature. Then you can tap and sacrifice the rat to put X1/1 black rat creature tokens into play, or X is the number of rats you control. Game Night's fan episode this year. This girl plays a Marrow-Gnawer deck, and it was really sick. So go watch that if you want to go see Marrow-Gnawer be good.
Nice, that's fun. Might have to try and build that just for shits and gigs.
Another one is
Turgid,
God of Fright, which is surprising that this had like 3,000 decks. This is like top 5 for like black commanders, which is really surprising because it's just so miserable to play against. Like the play patterns of this card are just like a nightmare. So I'm surprised like people like it's got to be people build it because they're like, oh, that's so sick, and then they play it once and then their friends are never friends with them anymore. So they just never play it. Because I feel like this card doesn't need ban just because like no one plays it, or they play it in the right context. You know, like it's like can I play my Turgid deck? And it's like sure. Like we'll have a game where you're the enemy and we deal with you, or we don't and you just win. So 5 mana, 4/5.
Stomp us out, yeah.
Turgid, God of Fright, 4/5 with Menace. And then whenever an opponent sacks a non-token permanent or discards a permanent card, you may put that card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. So you just like make everyone discard a bunch of cards. You play like Fleshbag Marauder, the deck. You just play all those, and then you just get everyone's shit. And then you just it's miserable. Because you make no one has a hand, no one has any creatures, you have everything, or they just hate out Turgid, and then your deck doesn't do anything. So no matter what, someone's miserable. But this has like 3,000 decks still, so I don't know. Just seems
or
like
it does the thing where everyone's miserable because they remove Turgid, and then you still keep playing the sack all your stuff and discard all your stuff game. So then no one's
but
playing
without a
Magic
payoff
anymore.
Yeah, so no one's doing so nothing's happening. So I don't know why you would play this card, but you can. It's a deck you can play. I don't know. It doesn't really fit. This card doesn't really fit like what Commander is to me, which is like everyone playing their deck and everyone showing off what their deck does and still trying to win, you know? Like where it's like that weird like somehow that like mystical perfect game of Commander, you know, that's like very hard to find, hard to cultivate. This just is against that. This card does not do that ever. It's impossible for that card to do that. This card is like the opposite of that, you know? Which is like maybe that's not what you want from Commander. Maybe you just like full on spike, full on like I just want to win at all costs. I don't care about my opponents, which is fine if you want.
Yeah. This card's just hyper competitive, like beyond hyper competitive. That's like all it was built for. You know what I mean? To me, it's kind of like the Toxrill card as well. It's just the way that it plays is like really brutal. There's not really a way to build it and have it not wreck the table. I mean, like, you could build a Turgid deck and have it not be horrendous, but then Turgid wouldn't do anything.
Exactly.
Because you have to make people sacrifice stuff and you have to make people discard stuff. But if you build the deck to not do any of that, then it's kind of like you're not even really using her. You might as well just have somebody else as the commander. The backside Turgid's Lantern, which is 3 and a black, is not the worst thing in the world, though. Because it's tap, target player loses 3 life unless they sacrifice a non-land permanent or discard a card. And then what is it, 4 mana to untap it?
Yeah.
Yeah, which sucks, but like if you wanted to build a deck around that where like a Lantern's your commander, you could just do infinite mana combos and drain the whole table. But yeah, this falls into like a category of cards that just seem like they're super competitive, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I don't give a shit. It just isn't really like the vibe of Commander.
Yeah.
Like if you sit down to have fun with 3 other people and your idea of fun is like not letting them play the game, then that's fine. Just play CEDH because that's also everyone else's goal.
Yeah, or just like talk about it. Like go into this Turgid game with that conversation in mind. Like, hey, I'm trying to like I made a salty deck. Can we play salty decks together? Like, can we like play a deck where like play a deck against me where like you can like deal with this, you know? And like I feel like that's cool.
Bust this out.
But like just that is just a very specific type of game that I feel like is very hard to find. It's just not what most people want to do. Most people want to play their cards uninterrupted, you know, which like not saying don't interact.
Most people want to play their cards.
Yeah, like people want to just play their thing, and then if they're gonna win and you remove their thing as they're about to win, sure, that's fine. But like just not even get to do anything because just all my stuff has been sacrificed, like, or you don't get to play because we've killed your commander like 8 times. And then there's one more that's kind of cool. Chainer Dimension Master. It's an older one. It's from Torment.
China.
So it's a really like old and classic one, but it's still pretty good. It's a 5 mana 3/3. All nightmares get +1/+1. You can play black, pay 3 life, put target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. That creature is black and is a nightmare in addition to its other creature types. And when it leaves the battlefield, exile all nightmares. So it's just mono black reanimator. It's pretty cool, pretty fair. But it's fun.
Yeah, very fair, very fun, and fun that it's also an anthem for the things that you're taking. That's kind of fun as well. But yeah, also the way it's costed is not scary at all. Like if you play Chainer, I'm just going to let you do your thing.
Yeah.
Blow up Chainer once and then it's going to take a while to get back at it. So,
yeah.
But it is cool.
It's very cool.
Also make more minions. I want more minions.
Yeah. Human minion is sweet. Well, Ryan, do you want to talk about some of our favorite black cards to finish up?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say, do you want to shoot first? Or you want me to shoot first?
I can shoot.
Oh, he's gonna shoot first.
Mine is Black Market Connections. Really busted card. It's 3 mana enchantment. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, choose one or more. Sell contraband, create a treasure token, you lose a life. Buy information, draw a card, you lose 2 life. Hire a mercenary, create a 3/2 colorless shapeshifter creature token with changeling, and you lose 3 life. And you can do all of it. You can pay like 6 life and draw a card, make a treasure, and make a creature. So this card is just super fun. It's just it's like Phyrexian Arena, but like playable, I think, because I don't think Phyrexian Arena is that good. And because this does so much more. It's more life, but you just get some more things. You get creatures you can block with, you get mana, and you get a card, and it's fun. And just like the idea of like full send, like I'm just gonna it's like Sylvan Library. It's just like I'm gonna pay all my life into this thing and not worry about it. We'll see what happens. So it's fun.
Yeah, I haven't gotten to play it yet, but it's always crazy when someone rips it all 3, like the first 3 turns, and pays like a total of 18 life, and you're like, what the shit? And the Hire a Mercenary is sick because it's any type of creature, so it fits like into any deck that you're playing, so it'll always get a buff. It'll always count towards like card draw for certain things.
Yeah.
which is important. Because if this was like, it makes like a 3/2 skeleton, okay, I might not use that as much. You know
But
what
it's
I
a
mean? Because
change
it's like
for me.
the skeleton doesn't. Yeah, it has way more payoffs just as like a creature, which is sick.
Because it came from the party
Yeah,
precon.
ripping.
So it could be your warrior, your wizard, your rogue, or your cleric.
Yeah, it's sick.
And it's just got reprinted in the pirate precon for Ixalan. And it's like a
Ooh.
$30 card. So saying it's about to plummet in price. So get ready to pick one up. It'll probably be like a $15 card or something for a couple weeks.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Yeah, that's one of the main reasons why I haven't played it yet. It's just been expensive.
Yeah, I got that deck and just for this card. The card was like $30 and I was like, well, I'll just buy this and then have a precon. And I didn't really like the deck that much. But this card is cool. But yeah, what's your favorite? What's one of your favorites?
I think one of my favorites is definitely Entomb.
Ooh. What's Entomb?
I think it's a 1-mana instant. Search your library for a card and put that card into your graveyard and shuffle your library. Yeah, just fingers. This feels like the villain moment. You know what I mean? You like turn one, you're like, I'm going to cast Entomb. And they're like, what are you going to get? And you're like, I don't know. Massacre Worm. I don't know. This. I don't know. That.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just kind of, it's cool because you get to search your library. There's no life necessarily even associated with it, which is kind of crazy. You don't have to pay any life to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You just kind of chuck something in the graveyard. And then 10 out of 10, normally you're going to have a reanimator spell in your hand anyway. So whatever that big stupid stinky is you put in there, you're getting it back out. I'm looking through my Yawgmoth deck. So you could get like Rankle, Master of Prankles, Hand of the Praetors, and you start infecting people out. You could get Phyrexian Crusader, which would be kind of lame, but would be kind of fun. That card's just fun to look at. Let's see, what else? What else could you get? You could get a Conrad. That would be kind of insane turn 2.
Yeah.
And Elder Brain. Elder Brain is kind of the fun thing to reanimate too, because then you just start ruining everyone's day with their hands getting exiled and giving them new hands.
Or in older, like in 60 card format, you can Entomb Grizzlebrand, which is sick.
Oh yeah.
Or if you're in a 5-color, you can do like Atraxa. Like new Atraxa.
Yeah.
Which is basically Grizzlebrand.
Yeah.
It just draws a million cards.
Yeah. And that's the thing. You can reanimate and dunk anything. So it's like, it's just fun. It's always a fun way to try out a new card. Just slam something on the battlefield.
Yeah.
Anything you want to give a go.
It's a classic card. It's from Odyssey.
Yar.
It's old.
But what about you? Let's paint it back to you. What's number 2?
If I could spell, the world would be so much better.
Yeah, me too. I feel that way about reading as well.
Marionette Master. It's a 6-mana 1/3. But this card has won me a bunch of games. It's ridiculous. It's got Fabricate 3. So when it enters the battlefield, put 3 +1/+1 counters on it, or create 3 1/1 colorless servo artifact creature tokens. Always put the counters on it. So it's a 4/6. So it's a big blocker. And then whenever an artifact you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, target opponent loses life equal to Marionette Master's power. So if you're in a black, this is not a mono black card. But if you're in a black, like a Rakdos deck or a Dimir deck, where you're making a bunch of artifact tokens, and then sacrificing them. So I have this in my treasure deck, and it's like just a win con for my treasure deck. So whenever I sack a treasure, target opponent loses 4 life, and then I'm making like a million treasure every turn. And it's dope with like a lightning rig crew. So I make a lightning rig crew. I make 3 treasure, and then I make yeah, it's just fun.
Yeah, you're like dealing 4 or 5 like all the time. It's really crazy. It's a really good card.
You gotta be in a very specific deck.
That,
or like an Esper artifact deck is good in there.
yeah. Anytime I see it come down in my head, it's an auto kill.
Yeah, or Jane Jansen is really good in Jane Jansen.
Yeah, Jane Jansen's really good.
Shouts out to Jane Jansen. That card's cool.
Yeah, that card is fun. I love Jan.
What's your next one?
Want to pop over? I was gonna say Carrion Feeder.
Oh,
Yeah, I think Carrion Feeder is pretty fun.
yeah.
You can't block. He's a 1/1 for 1, and you can sack a creature to put a 1/1 counter on him. And I think there's a couple board wipes that play really well into this because there's a lot of cards that like it wipes everything that doesn't have a counter on it, or if it doesn't have if it has a 1/1 counter on it, it sticks around. So you just sack your whole board into Carrion Feeder, wipe everyone else's board, and then just start smacking face with this big little zombie.
Yeah.
He's just a weird little fucker. The art's
Yeah.
always really gross and stuff. I love it. I think it's just a fun card.
Yep.
So,
And it's a free sacrifice outlet, which is just very powerful. So you can get your dies, triggers, and then it's a combo piece if you have something that like can reanimate something. So like a Karmic Guide kind of combo, or there's a bunch, like a Micaeus combo. This can get that going. So yeah, it's just a good value piece for and a combo piece.
yeah.
Classic card.
And then let's hit number 3.
Oh wait. For me, it's Murderous Rider. It's a 3-mana 2/3 with lifelink. When it dies, put it on the bottom of its owner's library, and it's a zombie knight, which is whatever. The cool part is that it also has an instant on it. It has an adventure, Swift In. Destroy target creature or planeswalker. You lose 2 life. So it's like it's got murder on a creature. 3-mana destroy target creature, planeswalker is a okay rate when it also draws you a creature with lifelink. That doesn't go away. And it's a zombie, so really, really relevant creature type. And it's a knight, which is kind of relevant. This is from the Knight Precon from March of Machine. So if you're into knights, this is a really good knight. It's a really good zombie. And it's a black creature. So if you care about creatures, like in my Ayara deck, this is okay. It's like a good removal spell because it also does all the Ayara stuff. So I love it. It's really good. I think
Yeah.
any like 2 or any non-white black deck could just run this and you would just like it. It's good.
Yeah, it's solid. I remember when Eldraine came out, this was like fucking menace for a while.
Yeah, the
And it
rare
still is at
cycle
times.
of adventure creatures from Eldraine is so insane.
Yeah.
You got Giant Killer, which is very playable.
Yeah.
You got Bone Crusher Giant, which is like a format staple. It's like runs Pioneer. Love Struck Beast, which is like pretty good.
Yeah. Still sees play.
I think Brazen Borrower is a mythic, but that's in there. That card's insane. And then
Yeah,
this.
Brazen Borrower was really good. Yeah, and Murderous Rider. Yeah, sick card.
Yeah.
I love
What's your-
the horse.
Yeah. He's
Oh,
spooky
zombie
looking.
horse. Yeah.
Yeah.
My next one was Phyresis.
How do you spell that?
Phyresis. Yar.
Sorry. Okay, Phyresis. What's up with that, Ryan?
It gives infect to one of your creatures. I think this card's fun because it's a little less salt-inducing than Tainted Strike, just because Tainted Strike's really good because you sneak it in there. But this, you enchant on a creature, so it's a little more, like, noticeable. But, I mean, you give this to, like, Nekusar, you give this to Sir Conrad, it's very easy to, like, get the whole table with infect super super fast because they're all dealing damage, so now they're dealing infect. But then the other thing too is you just toss this on a big demon, you know, like it's just fun in my head story wise to be like, now this is a Phyrexian, this thing is like super fucked up. And then it's also just like for whatever reason, if you need 2 mana, draw some removal away from something else that you want to do, this is perfect because everyone's scared of a 5/5 with infect. You know what I mean?
For no reason. It's like, just block it, dude. Just block it. But you're right.
It doesn't give a trample. It doesn't do. Yeah, that's the thing. It's 2 mana, and it's gonna pull all of the shit out of your opponent's hands because no one wants to get hit with it. So,
Yeah.
Either it wins you the game or it lets you win the game another way.
Yeah.
So, and the art's just sick. Again, I love the art, so everything I pick is the art.
Sure. That's
But I was gonna say I can also just list out my last 2 because we've already gone over them a bunch, so we don't have to touch on them. Yeah, my last 2 were Toxic Deluge and Blood Artist. So,
okay, sure.
Just super classics. We've already raved about them enough, but that way we can talk about your 2 more.
I got Erebos Bleak carded. I think this card is super underrated. I think it should see play in a lot more decks. It's a 3 and a black, so a 4 mana 5/6 with indestructible. It's got the devotion text, and then whenever another creature you control dies, you may pay 2 life. If you do, draw a card. And it's another creature. It's not just non-token like a lot of these effects. And then it's got a sacrifice outlet. You can pay 1 and a black, sacrifice another creature to have a target creature get -2/-1 until end of turn. I think this card is sweet. Like, it looks awesome. Like, the art is just so cool. The whip is so big. It's like spiraling above him. And it's just it's a big like blocker and a big beater. It's just this 5/6 indestructible that just sits there. Like, they can't deal with it. And then it draws cards and it's a sacrifice outlet. I think this card's sweet. And it's like a doll. It's 87 cents.
Oh, that's sick. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, it's so cheap for like this big mythic god, and just no one plays it, and it's really, really good. I have a historic brawl deck for it. That's really fun. And I run it in I ran it in 2 decks. I ran it in Alesha and I ran it in a Yara, and it's good in both of those.
Nice. Yeah. This card is super sick. And especially if you've got it with a Viscera Seer or like a Carrion Feeder and you don't even have to pay any mana to get those sacrifices, you just keep kind of chugging along.
Yeah, it's just like it's your Morbid Opportunist and a Viscera Seer together on one card that's indestructible, that's also a 5/6 blocker. Like, all of that together. Like, each of those rates are like kind of a lot. Like 2 mana to draw, 2 life to draw a card. It's kind of steep. And then 2 mana to sacrifice a creature and do that thing is kind of steep. But it's all that on an indestructible blocker. You know, all of it together combined, it's all a sick card.
Yeah.
I think it's really good. I think the knobs are tweaked really well with this thing, and it plays way better than you would think. It's just really good. Definitely try it out. And it's 86 cents. Who cares? Just fucking try it.
Yeah, just try it.
My last one is Sign in Blood. It's just those like black sorceries, like where you can like just draw 2 cards for cheap. But this one specifically is the best because you can kill players with this, and I've killed Brody with this, and I've never felt more alive. Because it says target player draws 2 cards and loses 2 life, and so in that like very, very small window where someone is at 1 or 2 life, you can kill. This is 2 mana kill target player, which is so sick. And like, you don't play it on doing that, but I've done it and it was amazing. And then it's also just a decent rate, 2 mana draw 2, lose 2. So I like it. I still play it.
Yeah, it's good card draw and it's a good win con. So
yeah, it's technically
and all common.
Yeah, it's a card draw spell that can technically kill a player, which is sick.
Yeah.
Don't plan on that, but it's there for the meme.
Yeah, and it's just a classic black card. I think this kind of even distills everything we talked about in the episode to a good card. You know what I mean? 2 black mana, lose 2 life, and draw 2 cards. Perfect.
Yep. Perfect card. All of these are perfect cards.
Yeah.
All good Magic cards. But yeah, that's the episode. That's the color black in Commander. Pretty comprehensive. If we missed anything important, you should comment or DM us or tweet at us and let us know. You can tweet at us at Commander Paradise on Twitter.
Command Paradise on Twitter.
And then you can also find us on TikTok. We post there every day. Not every day. I've been slacking. But we
We do
post there a
pretty
lot.
regular
Like,
stuff, yeah.
Yeah, like 3 to 5 times a week. We'll post something. Yeah. Do you have anything else to say, Ryan?
If you're watching on YouTube, do the classic, smash the subscribe button, smash the like button, smash the bell. Give us, if you're listening, you want to give us a review on some podcast apps. It does help with the algorithm and stuff.
Yeah.
We can see it in the little metrics when people find it through that kind of stuff. So it does help. So if you give us a 5-star on your listening app of choice, that would be sick. And then if you want to play games, hit us up. We love playing games. That's why we do this. That's why we started playing this game in the first place. So just let us know if you want to play a game, DM us, and we'll get it set up.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Thanks.
So that's it for this week, and enjoy Commander's Paradise. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.